Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. Today, I would like to talk about the recent improvement in air quality as evidenced by the island-wide monitor network in Taiwan. I'm Chen, and these are my co-authors. For the introduction, the industrialization and the urbanization of the Asian continent for the last decade is expected to be a major source of global change in atmospheric composition. The increased air pollution in continental Asia has affected neighboring East Asia and the Western US. Additionally, in local Taiwan, deploying air quality stations is suitable to measure and represent the changes of key pollutants, especially when emission control policies have been designed for decades. Although the annual variations of oxidant levels in Taiwan period to 2003 has been covered by previous study, the more updated results are not available for the recently published literature. Therefore, the objective of this study is first to analyze the long-term monitoring data collected from the air quality station across the island, and then to evaluate the trends in oxidant levels and their associated precursors for the past 2 decades. This slide gives you the geophysical location of Taiwan, of the East Asia, as you see the green colors. In this region, most of the prevailing synaptic weather system is under the high pressure system from the Asian continent. And Taiwan is in the downwind location of the East Asia offshore region. On this island, there is an air quality monitor station established in 1993. Therefore, in this study, the monitoring data will be collected from 1994 to 2012. 2 parts will be discussed. First is the annual trend of oxygen level on the island, and then the baseline ozone near Taiwan. This slide shows the annual trends of oxidants at all 56 general air quality stations across the island. As you see, for the NO2, a simple regression line of the annual regressions prohibited a significantly decreasing trend for the earlier period, whereas the ozone averages increased. These two work together to make an approximately constant level of the OX, as you see from the break lines. However, this kind of findings are similar to other previous publications. However, there is one interesting phenomenon caught our attention. In the past few years, both the OX and the ozone fall below their regression lines, and with the OX with a more exhibiting pronounced decline than ozone. Okay. Sorry. And this kind of phenomena will, as you see, they are all fall below their regression lines. Okay. The 2 regression lines will be established for the 2 different data periods as shown in this slide. As you see from the previous years, the OS exhibiting decreasing lines after maybe about 2006 to 2007. And then the ozone remained a constant level for the previous years compared with the increasing trend for the earlier period. And the NO2 continued to decrease at the same rate as the annual averages for the previous years. As for the decreasing trend of ozone after 2007, there are 2 reasons. First is the reduction of the primary emissions on the island, and then is the changes of the baseline conditions of ozone over the last few years. And over the period from 1994 to the present, not only did the NOx had decreased, but also both the non-methane hydrocarbon and the CO had also decreased significantly because of the multiple regulations implemented by the Taiwan Environmental Protection Administration. And in brief, starting in 1992, the Taiwan EPA implemented the air quality standards, same as in the US and the other nations. After that, the two major sources, such as the molecular and the industrial sources, were heavily targeted by the various emission control policies and the regulations through the enforcement of emission standards and fees. Okay. Oh, sorry. And I also want to mention that as for the ozone reduction, maybe the reduction of ozone sink by NOx titration may be an ongoing process, but a continuous reduction of the ozone precursors has also made the reduction of ozone production. And sounds like the NOx-rich conditions in this area may reach a tipping point where the NOx and the VOC were equally sensitive to the ozone production. And finally, for the baseline conditions of the ozone, it is noted that from previous study, prior to 2003, the ozone level during the Asia outflow period had increased. And the general air quality station levels, as you see, the blue lines, were much significantly lower than the levels of the marine satellites, as you see from this area. Okay. And for the marine baseline conditions, you can see that the ozone levels from 1994 to 2003 had an increasing trend from 1994 to the early 2000s. However, this increasing trend did not continue. As you see from this figure, after 2000 years, the marine satellite baseline condition of ozone converged to the value with a rather smaller range compared with the early years. And this value is slightly lower than the previously peak values in the early 2000s. And in the conclusions, okay, in this study, both the annual variations of ozone and the total oxidants in 1994 to 2012 will be studied in this study. And we found that there is exhibited distinct changes in the trend since 2007. The rapid decrease of the ozone precursors in recent years across the island, and then the slightly decrease of the marine baseline conditions of ozone over the past 2 decades, they both work in synergy to produce different variations from the previous years. And finally, we hope this kind of results may encourage the neighboring nations to examine their domestic air qualities in this area. And this is my talk. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, we do have time for questions, please.
Have you tried to look across some of the stations from the west to the east coast of the island, look at the influx of ozone from, say, mainland Asia? Did you look at specific stations in kind of a transect?
Thank you for your question. Actually, our do you mean the north and the south stations? Actually, there is one station close to the mainland China in here, and for the south, we don't choose the south observation in this data, but what we want to do in the future is that we will extend this kind of observation network, such as to the north of Japan, the observation in Japan, and then the south, such as in Hong Kong, and incorporate these interactions in the SH outflow. Thank you. Pardon?
What's the time window for the ozone trend that you reported?
You mean the time
So
with?
did you discuss the trend based on the average concentration or something else?
It's the average concentration.
Do you see a similar trend if you just look at, say, the daytime ozone concentration?
I think just the data we use the hourly data to calculate stand for the annual trend, and you use this kind of data to see their regressions for the past 2 decades. Okay.
I do have a question similar to her. So you discussed based on the average, right? So you discussed your trend based on the average data point.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have the percentile data. So what are the trends? Are they same or different? For example, 75 percentile or 25 percentile. Do you see the same trend, increasing or decreasing trend?
Sorry, I still. Yeah.
So you have the percentile data, right?
Yeah.
Suppose 25th percentile.
Yes.
75th percentile.
Uh-huh.
So do you see the decreasing or increasing trend on that data?
You mean period to
No, not period. I'm talking about percentile data.
percentage of the data?
No, percentile data. Maybe 25th percentile or yeah.
Sorry. In this result, we did not see that.
You do
We
not
just
see any
use the
trend?
general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Would you have some more time for questions? Please, yeah.
You showed that the reason ozone has a stable decrease, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned it's due to reduction of emissions
Yes.
and also the reduced impact from outside, right?
Yeah.
So that may be the reduced impact from outside is more important.
Actually, it's just a two. Yeah, it's just a two reason we think maybe related to the reduction of ozone for the past few years. But if you want to say the percentage of the dominant factors for these two reasons, maybe I think maybe from the observation we could not say that. We just see there are some kinds of possible reasons to cause this kind of decreasing trend. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I have another question. So can you give some idea about the seasonal variation of maybe ozone at your site?
You mean what kind of situation?
Seasonal variation. So you discussed about the annual variation.
Yeah.
So some kind of seasonal variation in case of Taiwan.
Oh, you mean seasonal variation?
Yeah. Is it more in some?
Actually, there will be different concentration scales, seasonal to seasonal. Yeah, we will do that in the future. But in this talk, we just show the general yearly trend. If you want to, okay, most of the ozone trends maybe in the yeah for high in not in summer, in the fall and the winter, because most of the Israel shower will affect the downwind region such as Taiwan during this period. So most of the during this kind of season, they will have a higher ozone levels during this period. But such as in the summer, the concentration will be low.
Due to
Lower
very
than.
much transport from the oceans?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.